Now this is a pretty easy removal. We've just got the two 8mm nuts holding that on there. Okay, so we're back again, and I haven't put out a video in a month, and I wasn't going to put out a video until I got my website done, which has been delayed even more. But I needed to come out here and shoot a real quick video on something. So we're going to real quick remove the starter and put a new starter on this quad. This quad had a little bit of issues when I started getting it started back up, but the main issue was the battery. So the reason I'm replacing the starter on this is because this had the whole gas tank probably at one point in time leak. And when it leaked, you can see from the varnish on the starter that it leaked right onto the starter, down on the cases, and so forth. And I think that plays into effect of why the clutch slave cylinder was leaking and leaked all the fluid out of it, was because I think the gas eventually got to the bottom end of that slave cylinder and then caused it to leak. But you know, in good news, I'm getting the graphics done for the website, and which is really cool. Spent quite a bit of time on that, working with my graphic designer. And you know, this website thing, you know, I had two options here. I have the option of setting up on a website where it's just real quick and easy to set up and it's just like everybody else's, or having my own servers and going that route. So for me, having my own servers and not worrying about where my servers are at and located, that's the way to go. So yeah, pretty much let's get into this. This thing's a real tight squeeze. If you think you have a starter problem on your quad, it's probably more than likely not your starter. It may be your starter. There's a starter relay that's really hard to get to. If your quad's been underwater, they are known to go bad. It's underneath up by the radiator, and also the fuses on this quad. I have a great video on that. Go to the playlist. And your fuses are real weird on this. They're Polaris OEM style fuses. Those do eventually go bad. I had one that was entirely burnt out on this. Also, this quad, if it does not have a good battery and a charged battery, they will not fire up. It's same thing with any of the Predator 500 engines as well. You have to have a good battery on this. Go buy a battery. They're inexpensive. I'll put an Amazon link below to the ones that I bought. I just put on a higher cranking amp battery. It's the one I suggest over there's two different real cheap ones. There's a Caltric that's really reasonably priced, around 30 bucks. And then there's the one that I just put in this quad for about 30 bucks. But yeah, let's get into this. I have to try these new Caterpillar work gloves out. Once I get into adjusting stuff, they might be a little too thick. Okay, first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect the power, because you really only have the positive going to the you would have the positive power going to the starter. So we need to disconnect the battery. Starting to get quite a bit of an electrical mess going on here. This is why I need to get the front end of this quad done and get the front end of this quad put back together. There's just so much going on here. side off here. I haven't been out here in over a month. I usually have a couple videos recorded and ready to go, but I'm out of videos. So I was looking at the YouTube algorithm and I'm getting hit hard for my ad revenue this month. So I've let it go a month, and yeah, that's I've been keeping an eye on the analytics. So it's starting to go down a little bit because YouTube's, controlled by AI. Okay, so we're going to locate the starter here. I'm not for sure that I'm going to be able to pull this starter out without the timing chain tensioner removed, and I actually have one of those. So we might have to do a quick video on the timing chain removal, but we're going to cut these zip ties. So we'll just remove. And I don't know if this is going to give us enough room. I'm going to have to get some new cutters. These are all my dad's old stuff. A lot of this stuff I didn't have to buy, but this is getting embarrassing. And I don't think this is going to give me enough room to pull that starter out. There's no way I'm going to be able to pull that starter out. Because this is our that is our neutral, that's our neutral, that would be to tell you what gear you're in for the gear indicator. This is for the stator. That's for the stator. And then this would be your, I'm not sure what that is too. That's some kind of sensor in the case. We might be able to get this out of here. We'll just come in and we got to get this cap off. Oh man, I might have put the carburetor on way too soon. Okay, this is going to be your 10 millimeter. It'll be double nutted on this. Well, let's see if I'm going to be able to get this off. We basically got pretty tight confined here. Yeah, it's double nutted. It's not a big deal. Now there is a snap, there's a snap washer on there. And we don't want to lose that. Don't lose that. Heck, you might have to try to find one that small if you don't have a whole lot of stuff. Now this is a pretty easy removal. We've just got the two 8 millimeter nuts holding that on there. And after I loosen that, that thing should just pull out. I don't think it needs to come up or down. It should just pull out. Oh. I have to take these gloves off. I can't feel nothing. I've been burned. I got burned so bad on this hand. See that? You see all that skin peeling off. Don't lose these bolts. Sunburn's extremely painful. I hadn't been burnt like that in years. I'm actually going to take a flathead screwdriver to the other side and just push it out. Okay, so as you can see, look at all the debris in here. I'm going to have to clean this all up before I put the new starter in, and a lot of people should, but the majority of this, it almost looks gritty. I don't believe that's sand. I believe that's basically fuel that has turned bad, so a lot of it, I mean, it just leaked and leaked and leaked. So I'm going to take a little break here, and I'm going to get this all cleaned up, and then we'll get to the workbench and get the new starter out and get this thing reinstalled. Really easy to replace this. In here, down in that starter hole, you just need to get your brush moist and just gently scrub. It's going to take quite a while to do it, but this is some examples of why this ATV isn't running properly, from just basically pure neglect on everything. Okay, so what we have here is we have our old starter and our new starter, and I went ahead and I got new hardware on this. When you go to install this on this new starter, and I'll put the links below on the one I bought. I'm not real sure which one it is. This is just an off-brand. Go ahead and keep your original one in case you want to rebuild it or you have other deals here. But you want to make sure that this bottom nut is tight before you put your cable on, because we're going to be pressing the cable up against the post here. So this nut, you never know with it being installed, needs to be tight. And then you'll have your crush washer and then your nut that'll go on your cable. And we're also going to use dielectric grease so we don't have any corrosion or any other stuff. It'll help the dirt from not sticking as well. But this starter's still good. It's just time to replace it. I'm so far into the four-wheeler now that it's just time to replace it. And it actually looked like this seal was leaking a little bit of oil there. And when we go to install, we're going to put a little bit of dielectric grease on this as well, but we're just going to gently turn this until it goes into the grooves of, I'm not sure, on the back end of the clutch side on this one would go on the, should go on the flywheel, but we'll just turn this until we can get this lined up. And then as soon as it's lined up and the teeth match to the flywheel, I believe, plate, which is on the back of the clutch, we'll just push it forward and push it in. So yeah, it's pretty simple to do. And they're really inexpensive, but you know, you may think you have a starter issue and you don't, because you have a wiring or another issue down the road. The thing of this is these quads are getting so old and neglected, they're sitting outside and people aren't taking care of them, that you might be replacing parts that you don't need to replace. So you need to go down the line of what's possibly wrong with these things first. So I got it cleaned up as good as I could. It's a mess. So as you can see, inside of here is your gear. And our starter is going to line up with this top gear here, and I'll try to mark it when I'm editing the video, but it's what's going to turn and crank the motor over. So when we install the starter, if it doesn't go in, it's because your teeth are not connected with the teeth of that gear. So once they connect, then the motor will turn over. But yeah, that was a mess there to get that. That's about as clean as I can get it. I'll tell you what, when I bought this four-wheeler, I should have just taken the whole engine out of it and started anew, because all this it's just a freaking disaster. So what we have here is our starter, and this isn't going to hurt it. It's just going to lubricate it a little bit. We do have engine oil that comes up and will make contact with this, but this will not hurt or contaminate it. We just want a little bit of grease on this. And our O-ring, we're not going to put anything on the O-ring. It should just install and seal there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just try to get it lined up, and we may have to pull it back out. And I'm slowly turning it to try and get the teeth lined up. And we're gently pushing forward as we do this. Once you get it in there, you'll feel it slide in. Okay, I think I got it in there. I don't think I had the teeth lined up. having a little technical difficulty here. And I don't believe it's the starter. I believe it's the O-ring is too big that I can't get a good seal in here. So I am going to oil this up and see if I can't, if that won't help press it in. Because I can feel it go into the, to slide into place, but I just can't. Can't get it past the O-ring. I might end up taking the old O-ring off if I need to. How I'm gonna get that thing pressed in there, because I just don't have the strength to force it in. Not even moving it. Oh man, you really don't want to beat on these starters. Sometimes these starters in older vehicles, when they don't start, you can smack them with a hammer because they've got moisture in them. And I got that in there, so that should be all right. It's just I thought that was going to be a little easier to do, but it wasn't. But I'm pretty sure we'll be okay. Okay, so we will attempt we will get put dielectric grease on here. If you don't have any dielectric grease, again, put the Amazon link below. Go ahead and get you quite a bit. I'll put a couple different size tubes on there, because you never know when you're going to need this. If you look at your car and your car battery is all rusted on the post and stuff, that's what causes it, is there's no grease on it. I'm going to install our crush washer, and hopefully get that nut on there. Like so. Then we'll tighten this cable back up. We'll want to actually pull it to the right. The reason we're going to pull it to the right is to stay away from these oil filters. Not real sure. I've got an oil cooler and the oil cooler adapter for one of these plates. I forget which one it is, but you know, I've got so much going on that I don't know if I'm going to get that far into this quad to do all the modifications that I want. Okay. Then we're going to come back and put our bolts in for the starter. Okay. Let's go get our bolts. We're not forcing these down into the hole. We're just using some gentle pressure to get them threaded because I painted them. Not 100% sure what the torque spec is on this. So I'll go inside and look on the manual. And then I'll throw the torque spec up in the description. So we should be good just to go back and connect the battery here. Okay, so we got On. Got our choke. Got our gas. Turn our gas on. Oh, look at the air bubbles. Keys on. See if it turns over. I heard the one-way bearing is still good. For this thing not firing up in a month, and just have to run it out of gas here. This thing fired right up.